Hey, it's Andre and it's time for another fantastic Flying Friday update. That's right, I used fantastic in that opening, and Wednesday I had enough. I grabbed my batteries, grabbed some planes, and I went flying. And for the first time since Ohio and Flight Fest, I actually spent 2 hours at the flight field and just flew. Flew the Tundra, flew the Aero, flew the Prime Jet, and flew the DL50. Yeah, finally. The Tundra was fantastic. It was really nice to shake off the rust and just get all aerobatic and just had a great time doing the touch and goes. The Aero, well, this is the 2S Aero, which has now been converted over to 3S. Put a brand new 1806 on there because the 1704 had finally had enough. Swapped over to an XD30, and I'm now running this airplane on 3S. I'm actually going to be doing some tests between batteries that run on XD30 and XD60s, hence the adapter, and we'll do a full range of tests of batteries that are like 800 to 850 milliamps. So stay tuned for that test. It should be a lot of fun. The Prime Jet, that poor Prime Jet, I've been working with this thing, trying to get it going, and I just keep nosing that poor thing in and having to rebuild it over and over again. So I'll get it yet. What I had done is I was trying to be skimpy on my props, and I put an R on there and swapped it over, and I'm wondering if the torque was affecting it and everything. So I'll find out again tomorrow, because I do want to get this thing flying, because it is a hoot. I mean, when it went, it hauled. I just have not been able to repeat the experience yet, so we'll get it yet. I am impressed how durable and how rebuildable this material is. I cracked it up pretty good. The nose was completely off. The whole canopy had popped off, and so far I've just been able to take in, with some hot glue and patch it up and try and get going again. So, and it's, it is pretty rigid by design. So I can't wait to try it and see if I get some success with it. The DL50, this is the Mountain Hobby DL50. And this is my first DLG. I picked this up used at Flight Fest, and it runs off a very simple setup. You've got your elevator and your rudder, simple controller, and it's a LiPo double A style, 1200 milliamps, 1S, and it is a fantastic experience. I got up there right away and I tossed it and just had a really good time. I had captured some footage. Unfortunately, it didn't quite turn out. And what I discovered was this camera, which is the Hawkeye Firefly Q6, has a wider field of view versus vertical. The horizontal is landscape versus portrait. So I would toss it, you'd see it go, and then it would go out of sight. So really unfortunate. I'll try it with a different camera. That said, so far I'm enjoying this camera. Now, my two gripes with this thing is, one, proper tether, and number two, you've really got to be careful with the SD card, which actually in a previous take I ejected right across the room. So I recommend putting a little piece of tape in there and being really careful when you're outdoors if you're pulling the card, because it will shoot off-site completely. I did spend some time playing with the settings to really get familiar with it, and really there's a couple features that I do turn on or off. Things like the fisheye disabler, so it doesn't get that warping effect. I turn that off. I do like the wide, and the colors and everything are set to vivid, and everything else is set for medium sharpness, and contrast is set to medium. The one setting I have been turning off, I found, was the wide dynamic range, and I just found it punched the colors out really nice. But I found it added a little bit something like in the leaves that they were moving around. So I said, let's turn that off, and the results seem to be better. And I also left the metering on centered. Average kind of was a little weird with the sky, and then spot would blow things out a little too aggressively. So I found center was the way to go, because in my initial footage, especially you see in the Tundra or the Aero when it's going around dark bright, dark bright. So it's a light camera. It is a really light camera, and I foresee this camera replacing the wing cam that I had, the little 720 from Turnigy, because the weight feels about the same. I'll improve the tether. I may try and get in there and try and mount inside, and the display is really impressive. That's pretty cool. I mean, you get a lot of detailed information when you're ticking through the menus. That's upside down, but so. You know, it's a pretty neat little product, so I'm looking forward to continue testing it. I've been shooting primarily at 1080/30. 60 is okay if you're doing some stuff, and the rest of your footage is going to match that. But you know, you take a penalty because the data acquisition is big. In 4K, I've yet to find a camera that really impresses me at the 4K level. And again, this is probably going to be very similar. I shot some footage initially and it didn't do anything for me, and I don't see the point shooting 4K. Sometimes when you've got the right gear to do the 4K, it is stunning and you can crop it down to 1080, but my output's going to YouTube, so I don't feel like taking the penalty. I'm going to keep working with it and testing it and see what the results are, but overall, again, it's just another one of these fantastic cameras that you probably, you know, wouldn't cry too hard if you slammed it into a wall. So it's probably going to sit on a lot of quads and get abused a lot. So there you go. This one's from gearbest.com, by the way. And yeah, the bench is a mess, and it's a mess for a reason, because I've been working away on something that was sent to me by Multi-RC, and this is their 150mm Shenanigans frame, and I've been slowly wiring it up with the power systems and the flight controllers, and it's running on some 10 amp ESCs and motors that are 1306s at 4000 kV. Woo! So it's going to spin some 3-inch props, and it's got some pretty neat stuff. I know this is 3D printed, but I had no idea. Look at that material. Isn't that neat? And it's similar to the mount points here. They're rubberized, but well, obviously these guys are real stiff. But you know, in a crash, they'll take the load, and apparently they're really good at doing shock absorbance. So I'm almost done. I've just got one motor left to do, and that's, you know, it's a whole process. It's funny. 2 years ago, I would have refused to buy an ESC that was prepped like this, and now it's like, well, can you send it to me without these wires and without heat shrink and just let me go to work, because I have to take these all off anyhow. It's fascinating to see how things have changed. So I can't wait to get this thing going. And again, the 800 milliamp batteries, the 3S800s, are all going to find time and be torture tested on this platform. So this should be really cool. I mean, the camera's there. Look how tiny that camera is. It's going to be so neat, and that's just going to live on the front nose. I do have the other frame that they sent me as well, that I talked about last week. That's in the box. We'll worry about that later. And I've got some other motors and ESCs which I might try and use, so then I can get 2 of these going and do a bit of a back-to-back, because after you do all this fine wiring and everything, who wants to rip that apart? It's so cool. So I'm looking forward to, you know, really the mini quad experience, and just seeing how durable and versatile this thing is, and if I can fly it around the backyard and everything, and out in the fields. So again, I've got 6 batteries I can fly on this thing, so that's pretty good. You know, you might get some. I'm going to be curious to see what the run times are going to be and everything. So stay tuned as that one goes. I was supposed to start the wing build. Unfortunately, I haven't got to that yet, and I was also supposed to go to the event in Collingwood, Ontario, the Fat Shark Frenzy. Unfortunately, things are going on, and I couldn't commit to the event. I feel bad about that. So if you're going, have a good time. See you out there. I'm going to go flying this weekend, get the DLG back out, get all these other planes up, and have a good time. So hope you have fun. Fly safe.